Hey YouTube friends and subscribers alike. Wanted to do a video about the new ZeitGeist movie moving forward. And I started cutting out pieces of the video that I was going to do and or that I was going to comment on. And after I got done doing that, I went and checked my YouTube subscriptions to see if anybody else had put out anything. And sure enough, my buddy Maynard, he put out a pretty good one about the technocratic slavery. So I probably can't beat that. I'm not going to try. It was a pretty good interpretation, and he covered quite a few areas that I'm not going to cover. And I'm gonna leave a link to his video down below, actually. And on we go with my commentary, I suppose.
Let's imagine for a moment we had the option to redesign human civilization from the ground up.
Okay, right away, I'm skipping a lot of the first parts of this movie because generally we all know, like Maynard says, that the financial system is a sham and it's a Ponzi scheme. And I can pretty much agree with most of the beginning of the movie, but the part here, section 3 of the movie, let's assume that we have a new planet. Alright, so we're starting off right away, immediately, with a complete and utter fallacy. Not a good way to start.
That goal of, say, maximum sustainability understood, the next question regards our method. What kind of approach do we take? Well, let's see. Last I checked, politics was the method of social operation on Earth. So what do the doctrines of the Republicans, liberals, conservatives, or socialists have to say about societal design? Not a damn thing.
Okay, the reason I put this part of Zeitgeist 3 in my video is because they're talking about politics, and we'll get to why that's important here shortly.
The answer, of course, are planetary resources. Whether it is the water we drink, the energy we use, the raw materials we utilize to create tools and shelter, the planet hosts an inventory of resources, many of which are demanded for our survival. So, given that reality, it then becomes critical to figure out what we have and where it is. This means we need to conduct a survey. We simply locate and identify every physical resource on the planet we can, along with the amount available at each location, from the deposits of copper, to the most potent locations for wind farms to produce energy, to the natural freshwater springs, to an assessment of the amount of fish in the ocean, to the most prime arable land for food cultivation, etc.
Okay, so they talk about surveying the planet for available resources and consistent renewability, sustainability. Okay, who oversees this survey? Do we vote for them? Are they selected, or are they already pre-chosen by the people who come up with the idea? So now you're dealing with politics. Guess what? You have to have politics no matter how much anybody hates politics. And believe me, I'll be the first to tell you that I hate fucking politics. But they contradicted themselves here.
And this means not only tracking our rates of use, but the rates of earthly regeneration as well. So then, how do we track this inventory? So, as nature suggests, we take all of this inventory and tracking data and create a system to manage it. A global resource management system, in fact. And when we realize that the mechanisms of strategic preservation, strategic safety, and strategic efficiency are purely technical considerations, devoid of any human opinion or bias, we simply program these strategies into a computer which can weigh and calculate all the relevant variables, allowing us to always arrive at the absolute best method for sustainable production.
So, the people who design this system, do we trust them? Again, do we elect them? Do we choose who they are? Does everybody agree on who they are? No. Again, you need fucking politics. Now, let's just assume that you get somebody in there to write this system and program this computer program that's designed to create the most efficient outcome based on the available resources and whatnot. Who's to say that the programmer isn't going to manipulate the data? Do you trust them? Who oversees that? They left that out conveniently. One more thing to add to this particular ideology is The people who are selecting out the resources and determining how many we have, who's to say they're not going to simply just lie and keep some of the resources for themselves secretly so they have more than everyone else? And again, who oversees them?
But, wait a minute, we really can't fully understand demand if we don't account for the actual usage of the good itself. Is it logical and sustainable for every single human to, say, have one of everything made, regardless of their usage? No, that would be simply wasteful and inefficient. If a person has a need for a good, but that need is only for, say, 45 minutes a day on average, it would be much more efficient if that good was made available to them and to others when needed. Placed in close proximity to the population, and a person would simply come in, take the item, use it, and when finished, return it.
Okay, well that sounds reasonable in principle, correct? I can't really argue with that except for one thing. What if you need something now and you don't have time to go get it? What if you are far away from something and you need to get there? What if it's a spur of the moment thing? You can't just hop in your car because you don't have one because you quote unquote don't need it. So that kind of, they didn't address that either. That's a concern of mine. I don't know about you. Let's continue.
So, continuing this train of thought regarding logical design, what is next in our equation? Where does all this materialize? Cities.
Cities, as in population centers, as in places where everybody can be self-sustaining. As Maynard states in his video, what if I want to live in the fucking mountains? Are you going to send me a transport? Am I going to get extra rationing for the stuff that I need to be self-sustaining in the mountains? Or do we all have to live in cities? Have you ever heard the expression, don't put all your eggs in one basket? There's reasons people don't always live in the city, but they don't address that either. So maybe that's not an option, or maybe that's not part of their agenda. On we go.
Food can now be organically grown on an industrial scale in enclosed vertical farms, such as in 50-story, 1-acre plots.
Alright, I'm all for hydroponics. Sounds great. I'm all for growing things in the city and in buildings and all that. But if you've got all of your eggs in one basket, as in all in that tower, all in that skyscraper, what if the fucking thing burns down? What if a plane crashes into it? Where's your extra food? Did you plan for any disasters or contingencies? Just something to think about.
And this brings us back to our city system. In the center is the central dome, which not only houses the educational facilities and transportation hub, it also hosts the mainframe that runs the city's technical operations.
Architecturally sound, but again, they even admit themselves in this video that they can't eliminate all crime. So what if you get some crazy guy who wants to dismantle something or blow something up or commit an act of terrorism? You don't think that having your basically your brain of the whole operation in the center of the city, surrounded by the education system, by the way, which is where all your kids are, isn't going to present a nice ripe target for someone who wants to do something crazy? Sounds like a bad idea to me. Yeah, there's a lot of good things in this movie, but there's also a lot of bad, and there's also a lot of gaping holes that aren't very well described, and there's quite a few of those. Yes, it's easier to pick out the flaws than it is to pick out the benefits, but I guess the point is, a lot of these things don't even seem feasible, and the things that people want to ask questions about or that may seem concerning in some ways are not addressed. Now, who controls the stuff? Who motivates people to work? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. I guess I'd like to hear your opinions if you've seen the movie, but yeah, it's not for me. I don't want to live in a fucking city. That's the last place I want to live. Yeah, sure, it's convenient, but I'm just not a city kind of person. But that's me. But they don't conform to people like me, apparently, with this agenda. But anyway, I digress. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.